other forms. It's there in Chinese nationalism, which is pretty virulent too when it's conquering Tibet, you know, and it's there in Russian nationalism when Putin is saying, let's Russia be great again. You know, it was there in French nationalism when Napoleon said, no, la France c'est la victoire, la France c'est civilisation, therefore we can invade Russia or whoever we want. You know, France is the intellectual capital of the universe, blah blah. So there's that hubris that lies in the nationalist argument. World War II saw that defeated because there's another stream from Romanticism, which is internationalism. The genuine intellectuals of the Enlightenment and the genuine romantics thought through this nationalism story, and they said, no, that's daft. You know, it's not just my little tribe, it's the good guys, it's the whole of humanity. And this became the internationalist romantic tradition, which flourished in various forms. It became the international liberal movement, which believed in constitutional democracy. It was people like Bentham and Mazzini who said nations are just a stopping stage on the way to humanity. It became Victor Hugo, who wanted a world, a parliament of freedom and democracy and human rights. It became the work of international organizations for peace. And ultimately it led to the foundation of the League of Nations at the end of the horrors of World War I, which was a nationalist war. They realised, no, this is ridiculous. We've got to have an internationalist thing that can solve this. And so the great intellectuals like Bergson and Gilbert Murray, they all helped the League of Nations, so did Einstein. They set up an intellectual cooperation centre, which was a sort of forerunner of UNESCO. And then at the end of World War II, which was like nationalism hadn't gone away. Hey, it came back out of the cupboard, like Camus says of the plague. It's always there in the drawers, right, hiding in the linen. Well, it came back out, World War II, double whammy. Jesus. And then at the end of that, the internationalist forces just won, like the liberals allied with the socialists, with the communists, and the communist internationalists had their own vision of romantic internationalism, which was very idealistic in some traditions and managed just by the hook and the crook to defeat nationalist romanticism of the Nazi variety. And don't forget, it was Soviet soldiers that liberated Auschwitz. We've just celebrated the 70th anniversary of that. I've been to Auschwitz. You know, it was Soviet troops that finally fought their way to free those poor people, and did so, you know, in the name of communist internationalism. And so that internationalist movement founded the United Nations, and it also founded the European Union. That was that romantic sense of love and respect. Yes, I can love my nation. I can be proud to be British and Canadian. I can be proud of all the parts of my lovely UK, but I don't love them enough that I'm going to drop bombs on other countries or want to disturb and disrupt and take out other countries. I will respect other people's right to love their country and for us to love each other. I want a world based on love, agape, as well as eros and philia, all types of love, in which we can freely circulate as divine beings. I want a world based on what I call the political economy of enlightenment, that we premise our international political arrangements on fostering love and happiness for all of us. Now, yes, okay, I'm a left internationalist and proud to be so. You know, that to me is the only way to go, because this right-wing romanticism of Brexit and this neo-nationalist populism is the very force that was defeated in World War II, and that the European Union was created to circumvent. Yeah, we need to get cleverer as left-wing internationalists, or, you know, progressive liberal internationalists. You see, one of the things that Brexit has done very skillfully to silence people like me is it's said right from the beginning it's not an intellectual tradition. It's anti-intellectual. You see, this is why you can never talk to a Brexit person and they actually make sense and can defend it. What they do is they just insult you, they silence you, and they ignore you. That's what anti-intellectuals always did. That's what the fascist party did in Spain when they killed Lorca, the great poet. You know, I'm a poet. I'm speaking also for the poets of Europe here. It's what the Nazis did when they rounded up the Jews. They said, oh, we'll gas them, they're all intellectuals. You know, who needs them? It's why Hitler said, think with the blood. You know, well, what a stupid thing to say. You know, of course you need the blood to think, but you also need a brain, and you need life experience, and you need a soul. Think with the soul. But no, anti-intellectualism, which is where Brexit is coming from, just suppresses all possible intellectual activity. And then they think they can get away with it. And they put soporific people like Boris Johnson in power, who pretends to be an intellectual, who comes from a reasonable lineage of intellectuals, but who actually has left his brain outside the chamber, because he's left his morality outside. And he's a liar. No intellectuals lie like that, you know. And what also the anti-intellectual movement does is it peddles conspiracy theories. It did that in the Nazi era with anti-Semitic protocols of Zion, you know, the Jews are taking over the world stuff. And it's doing it again. You know, scratch a Brexiteer and you find a conspiracy theorist. Only this time it's much more sophisticated. Yes, it's the Jews, but it's also, gosh, you know, it's liberals, they're all evil. It's Satanists, they're all running the country. And Hillary Clinton was one, you know. I mean, it goes back to the lies that were told about Hillary Clinton by Steve Bannon and his Breitbart mafia and data, Cambridge Analytica, to destroy Hillary. She's the most pilloried woman. She's vaguely intellectual. She was at Wellesley College, where some of my friends were studying. Poor woman. Was demonised. I mean, poor old Bill Clinton was also quite an intellectual. So the first thing the American right did was destroy their reputations. So conspiracy theories, yes, and of course, the more exotic the better. So now we have an endless plethora of space aliens are taking over the world, and that's why we should vote Brexit, because the space aliens are responsible for the European Union. You know, every single kind of conspiracy theory is peddled by these kind of people. And then, so now to me, you see, all this is anti-humanist. The fundamental bottom line of these kind of ways of thinking is that human beings are not clever enough to figure this out. You know, we've now entered a world where humans are expendable. It's pumped out to us that what we should be talking about is post-humans. You know, I'm redundant. I'm a human being, right? I admit I'm biased. I like humans. I like the European Union because it's a humanist project. It gives me freedom of movement, gives me freedom of speech, gives me rights, gives me the capacity to go to Italy and fall in love with an Italian woman, and God, they're gorgeous. You know, no, can't have that. Chop them. You know, so I'm against the anti-humanism of Brexit, which is peddling fantasies and conspiracy theories and destroying my country, destroying my continent. I see these coming from Russia and also the American right. The Russian right and the American right have made a fatal alliance. Alexander Dugin is peddling anti-humanist stuff. So's Steve Bannon and the American right. And they're into the same conspiracy, right-wing, you know, anti-Semitic nonsense. Gosh, when will we ever learn? So I'm with Sartre. I'm saying, yes, Marxism is also a form of humanism. And poor old Marx, for all his mistakes, the fact that he left out the political economy of militarism, it doesn't mean we abandon that project of a free society of equals in which our full potential can be realised. You know, that's the light that peeks through the text. If you can, you know, listen to my commentaries on it, you'll see what I'm saying. On my Green University website. And finally, I want to say I'm also doing a commentary, as you know, on the Quran. My daughter, bless her, gave me a little Quran for Christmas. Gold lettering and beautifully done. You know, Quran is a miracle. A revelation from God. Now, what does that mean? Well, it came from the absolute, as Hegel would say. Goethe loved the Quran. He actually studied it. He's one of the few Western intellectuals at the time who bothered. And I don't know, you know, one of the few Western intellectuals that's trying to read it sympathetically, creatively, and historically. I'm the first Western commentator, I think, to commentate on it in chronological order and put it in historical context. And what I see there in the Quran is yet another wake-up call to humanity to realise the importance of surrendering ego to the absolute. You see, Brexit and all this nightmare of ideological warfare is all and nationalism is all premised on a mistake. it's premised on myness, my tribe, my country, my nation, is better than anything, is better than God, the absolute, the creator of the entire universe. We don't know what God is. We don't understand how God does all this stuff. But I think, I'm with Anselm and other thinkers, Kant and Hegel, I think the evidence shows that there must be some intelligence behind this incredible universe. There must be some intelligence behind the dialectics of dialectical materialism even. And the best Marxist philosophers kind of realise that. So our duty is to study, I think, using all the disciplines from mathematics to all the ologies to work out what that divine intelligence is, and then to try and update our morality and our society and our politics accordingly. Like Ibn Khaldun said, you can study societies, you can work out which are trying to improve themselves in the light of the divine. If we start doing that as a society in Britain, in Scotland, in France, in Iran, in Israel, in China, in Russia, around the planet, if enough individuals among us start doing that, then I think it begins to ripple out, So read your Quran, listen to my commentary on it, read your Bible, read your Gita, read your Dhammapada, read whatever sacred text it is that you like best. Write your own. The prophetic gates are open because that need for consciousness to elevate to the highest levels of perception and insight is needed now more than ever. That's why the Druid tradition, we don't say that the Druids, are stopped. No, they live on. That seership faculty is inside us all, dormant. We should reactivate it. And that's why I was just in India launching this, the youth wing for the World Intellectual Forum and the Commonwealth Interfaith Council, and working with the International Conference on Peace and Nonviolent Action, organised by my Jain friends, who are also very interested in thinking through how we can get peace on this planet. All the work I'm doing is in service to, Sarasvati, the goddess of wisdom, my line manager, Athena, she's called in the West. We have to do this on behalf of the women of this planet. 50% of us who have the children, look after the men and don't want to see them all just killing each other uselessly. So women of the world unite, and men too, and let's come together. Let's knock this stupid Brexit stuff on the head. Anyone who's a devotee of Athena or Sarasvati can see through it a mile off. We can find legal ways to challenge it, get it reversed, get this evil government of Tories out of power. Not a single one of them has got the brain that you can actually engage with. As I say, the whole Brexit thing is an anti-intellectual thing, and they're misusing their power in order to silence debate. Well, I'm an intellectual, guys. I'm on duty here, and I'm fighting back, and I ask you to join me. Get involved with the work of my institute, get involved with the World Intellectual Forum. Let's rebuild a consensus that liberal, progressive internationalism is the authentic inheritor of the Romantic tradition and the age of the Enlightenment, not nationalism and populism and all that. No, we can love our nation. I mean, I love all the nations of Europe and the world. I've been to the UN General Assembly. I've sat in the meditation room in New York, and I love all the nations of the world and all the bits of all the nations. That's why I want peace, right? Because peace is that balance, that equipoise between our respective nationhoods, whereby we honour and recognise and see each other. Is that too much to ask? I don't think so, because love is what made all these nations. Nation is the place in which we're born. The nation is Latin for the place of birthing. We're all born into this world, and therefore we're all born in a nation, right? But being born is just one thing. We also, as we grow up and intellectually evolve, we have a second birth, and a third birth, and a fourth birth. Those are the higher initiations. That's why Christians talk about, being born again. Druids, we joke about it. We're born again and again and again and again until we get world enlightenment. Well, that's the project. So, not just the nation, but the international work that we're all doing on this planet and the cosmic dimension of things. Right, so there we are. Peace on earth, blessings to everyone, and gosh, I'm really, really sad about this Brexit nonsense, but I think I've given you the keys on how we can stop this. Constitutional convention, and basically put your thinking caps on. Resist intellectually. Don't be silenced by the anti-intellectualism of Brexit. And get in touch, please. Join the resistance. Okay, thank you. Amen.